Well, James, like I said, it's been a pretty packed week. I mean, it's a pretty packed season overall, but with European action as well. And things did not go Arsenal's way, I would say, surprisingly, in the Champions League this weekend. How do you think Mikel Arteta will be feeling and the rest of the squad going into this one?
Well, they were keen to play down, the importance of losing that game. I mean, obviously, they won their opening group match and there's still plenty of time in that group. It's not the hardest Champions League group, if we're honest, although their tricky game is coming up away to Seville. If they were to lose that, two defeats in three, they'd start to be in a little bit of trouble. But they've got time to get themselves out of the group, certainly, and you'd back them to do so. But it probably has just knocked confidence a little bit. I think there's, one of the things I think we need to still learn about this Arsenal team, if we're talking about them as being genuine title contenders sort of year on year rather than last season being a bit of a one-off, is whether they've got the sort of durability and the mental kind of maturity in these big matches. And, it was a hostile atmosphere in Lens. Obviously, they're going to be playing in front of their own crowd at the Emirates. But Arteta's sort of mentioned in the past that one of the reasons why he thinks they're conceding goals at home is because they're a little bit too emotional, that they're trying to attack too quickly, I think was how he put it the other week. Look, I mean, if you do that against a team like Manchester City, even though they're missing De Bruyne, they're missing Rodri, they will pick you off. They are the absolute masters of being able to exploit weaknesses like that. And if Arsenal do overload themselves, overexpose themselves, and the ball breaks down, they are going to be in trouble in transition on the break. City kill teams like that, time and again. And obviously, we all know how deadly Haaland can be. So, I think they need to obviously recover from that defeat mentally as quickly as possible, but not overcompensate by thinking, right, we've got to absolutely go full tilt into this, show how good we are, bounce back as quickly as can. They need to be a little bit more composed in their response and a little bit more mature in the way that they handle the game. Because if you think about the last couple of matches that they've played against City, this fixture, if you like, at home the last couple of years, they've been lost by very fine margins, key moments in matches that have gone against them, maybe a little bit of immaturity again, as I say, and they can't afford that. I think, probably one of the most honest things Mikel said today was that, we need to be absolutely 100% for 100 minutes and then we'll have a chance. And I think he's right. They do need to be at their very best. They can beat City, but they're not going to turn up at sort of 70% and win this game, even though City have got injuries. So I think they need to just control their emotions and really try and execute their game plan as clinically as they can. And they've not been as clinical as they could have been in what's still been a good start to the season so far, but they've dropped points. You think about they had Spurs on the ropes and they didn't finish them off and they ended up drawing that game. They've had one or two other instances like that as well, where they've had fine margins of victory where it's been a little bit more fraught. You do that against City, you're probably going to lose. So they just need to control themselves better than maybe they have done in the past.
Well, if anybody watches cricket, specifically England cricket, you will know that they absolutely love to chase down a score rather than setting one, because, Stevie, as they do say, it's harder to lead than to chase. Arsenal were leading in the Premier League title race last time, and City, just on their backs, eventually chased them down. Looking at this fixture again and having that, I suppose, more of a mental battle, I feel like, with Manchester City, or a mental rivalry with Man City, and not being called chokers now. If Arsenal lose this game at home to City, in terms of the title race, how much does it mess with their heads going forward, especially before the international break?
Well, I think it's always about the way you lose a game, to be honest. Losing a game 9 weeks into the season should not be a title decider, that's for sure. But it's how you lose the game, and if we're talking about mentality, then we wouldn't even be talking about City, because we know what sort of mentality they have. The fact that Arteta is talking about his team let themselves down emotionally, you don't win the big prizes when you let emotion get a hold of you during a football match. You need players like City have to get a hold of their emotions and use whatever it may be, whether it's going forward or whether you need to defend with emotion. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to win the big games, or certainly the tight games. So I think, no question, mentality-wise, City are streets ahead of Arsenal. We saw it last year with Arsenal's, I guess it's harsh to call it a collapse at the end of the season, but they looked a little unsure of what to do when they were in certain situations. And I guess the answer to that is the one that Arteta gave us already. emotionally they're not quite ready to handle certain situations. So yeah, Man City have to be big favourites from a mentality side anyway.